The physical world is to the eternal world as sitting in a theater fully immersed in a movie is to the physical world, with one crucial difference. The movie is made primarily to entertain us, while this world is designed to teach us. Put simply, the physical world is a projection sourced from the eternal world. Just as a map or a set of instructions is designed to help us understand and engage with a territory or project, but not the territory or project itself, this temporary physical world is merely a guide, preparing us for the real and eternal experience that awaits. This is not a novel idea, but rather the timeless insight of many great spiritual traditions. Krishna said, the contact of the senses with the sense objects are impermanent. King David, our days on the earth are like a shadow, there is no permanence. Buddha said teaching is merely a vehicle to describe truth. Don't mistake it for the truth itself. Jesus simply stated, my kingdom is not of this world. And the Prophet Muhammad, the worldly life is no more than a play, but the hereafter is indeed the real life. So if there is an eternal world and eternal beings are meant to inhabit it forever, why create a world without form and void, separate and able to be compromised? Eternity, by its very nature, must be intended for eternal beings to inhabit. But given the inherent nature of both eternity and eternal beings, if anything went wrong, it would remain wrong forever. A world needed to be designed to prevent such an outcome. In other words, a temporary, provisional world had to be created, not in case something went wrong, but before anything could go wrong. So that if a being created for eternity made a mistake, that mistake wouldn't become eternal as well. Such a design would ensure that errors and miscreations would simply be learning moments in a temporary state of existence, ensuring that eternity would not be harmed or altered, nor would the being doing the miscreating become eternally encumbered by those miscreations. The design of this plan had to be foolproof and child-safe, for it was designed with the foolishness of a child in mind. You may wonder, how could anything go wrong in a world created by a perfect creator? Why would safeguards be needed? Isn't the perfect creator capable of creating perfectly? Of course, but for beings to be endowed with the will to create freely, they had to be created with the ability to freely will. And here lies the deeper mystery. How can a created being also be an eternal being? Meaning it existed prior to having been created. This confusion of being created yet also eternal, as well as a free will that would use its free will to give up its free will, goes to the heart of the mystery of consciousness and the illusion of space and time. To unravel this, we must understand what free will is given for. The statement, "It is my free will to do with what I want," highlights this confusion. Free will is not a possession, but a dynamic system with a specific use case. It was not given to choose between good and evil, mutually exclusive opposites that could not coexist, but rather to decide for the only existence that could ever be. It was given as a mechanism to decide on behalf of the good and eternal. The free will to decide for eternal life is a miracle. It is an illusion that we are free to choose incorrectly or would even want to. It is to teach this that the virtual world of the illusion of good and evil, within the confines of physical mortality, was made. Through this virtual experience, where we seem trapped between good and evil, life and death, we come to understand that we are inherently designed to decide only for what is good and eternal. Imagine a human being wearing a virtual reality gaming headset. During the game, to the degree that their senses buy into it, they feel fully immersed in the virtual world projected by the headset. What if we are, in the same way, viewing a world of good and evil through the virtual reality headset of a temporary physical experience, an illusion of space-time, projected to teach us the limits of what free will can and cannot achieve, and through this we begin to grasp how we can be both created and eternal. From inside the illusion, it appears that countless separate human minds are living and dying as mortal bodies burdened by good and evil. But when viewed from outside that illusion, the observing consciousness reveals itself as one. The virtual world functions as a protective firewall, safeguarding our creative consciousness, enabling it to mature as we work through the consequences of miscreation. It provides the stage where projections of good and evil unfold until they eventually run their course. This realization prompts a deeper question. Is it possible that to create eternal beings, eternal being had to willingly fragment, scatter, deconstruct, and holographically disassemble into space, time, matter, and mind, in essence separating to become the very eons and atoms of space, time, matter, and mind through which to bring forth eternal companionship, thereby creating a unique lineage, a state of being that is both created and eternal, able to be one and all simultaneously and forever. If eternal consciousness actually separated to give rise to eternal companionship, we would feel profoundly separated from the divine, for the divine itself was separated. Yet within that very separation can be found the miracle. With that revelation, we experience how it is possible to be both created and eternal, and most importantly, how the separation was only a phase in the Immaculate Conception and creation of eternal companions, of perfected kinship. Experiencing eternal life means taking off the virtual headset that projects this temporary world of good and evil. That removal is the realization that no such world could ever exist, nor would we will that it should. Nothing of the world of good and evil is real except the creative consciousness that views and learns from it. We are that creative consciousness. The miracle of a virtual world as it relates to the eternal world is this. A free will being can use its free will to miscreate, but that miscreation, those projections will last only as long as the belief in the virtual world is maintained. And as we stated earlier, the virtual world cannot be maintained. When the temporary world is shut off, the emerging eternal being will appreciate the distinction between the virtual and the eternal. In that appreciation lies the knowledge of what free will was truly designed for. So the virtual world is not a mistake. It is the most ingenious classroom the eternal could design. A place where we learn once and for all to choose only what is good and eternal, and then step out of the theater and find we are home.